Where you are.
Yeah, this is breaking news coverage from MSNBC of a school shooting in Littleton, Colorado. Here's what we know. At least 8 students shot so far, according to authorities. That's what they know about. There are 2 gunmen who they believe are still inside who are responsible for the shooting, according to authorities. There are some students who are inside as well. This is Littleton, Colorado, southwest.
All right, I am Michael Sensitz. I am a senior in political science. I do own guns, and I grew up my whole life around guns.
So my name's Matthew Lamb. I'm a senior, and my major is security risk analysis. I do own a Remington 800 shotgun, but I did not grow up in a house that has guns.
I think all guns are bad in the wrong hands and safe in good hands. So as long as you know the basic firearm safety rules, all firearms can be safe.
I think there's a inherent risk involved with owning guns where it can cause unforeseen consequences, especially in accidents and stuff like that, so it definitely poses a threat.
The idea of arming teachers and staff to prevent school violence is not new. Schools across the country thought about it long before President Trump endorsed the idea this week.
Carl Donaldson's been 6 years with the National Guard. He's now a science teacher at a rural Colorado high school and volunteered to carry a firearm in class. He says it was something he felt he had to do because the nearest law enforcement office is about 25 minutes away.
I guess the really basic question a lot of people are asking, why should teachers be armed?
Teachers are in the classroom. They're always the ones that are going to be the first to respond. Why not give them something to fight back with?
To fight back, Carl Donaldson is armed with a 9mm Glock handgun.
Where is your firearm?
Can I show it to you?
Yes, please. And your cowboy boot?
It's why I wear boots.
You didn't used to wear boots?
No.
Is this gun loaded?
There's nothing in the chamber. The school board would not allow for us to put one in the chamber.
So it's never loaded in class?
It's in the clip.
Would it be more effective to have a loaded gun?
Yes, that's a concern. Absolutely, especially if they come after me. And again, in faster training, they teach us how to fight them off and then get to your weapon.
FASTER is a 3-day course that trains teachers like Donaldson in firearms and trauma response and includes a simulated school shooting scenario.
Do you think arming civilians like teachers would do more harm than good?
I think we shouldn't just arm teachers. Like, you don't just give teachers guns, but you can allow the teachers who already have concealed carry permits to conceal carry, because then they already know how to be safe with the gun, they know how to use it, and there won't be any mistakes or accidents. They'll just have it just in case something happened.
Well, police officers are trained, so anybody can be trained, right? It's just a fact on what what they're authorized to do, what the policies are, procedures are, who maintains that training, how often does a person get trained and qualified, what is the standard for that training. There's a lot that goes into how police officers are trained with firearms, and it's usually set by the state and like a training council, and very specific requirements for training. So anybody can get trained on how to properly use a gun, and if you're going to have a gun, you probably should take some sort of training to make sure that you're storing it properly, and to make sure that you have the proper gun safety techniques. So everybody should be trained.
Our number one priority is the safety of our children, and this is a step, hopefully, in the right direction.
With armed staff, do you feel safer? Do you feel your students are safer?
I do.
I do too. I do.
I do think it would do more harm than good. We have teachers that are teaching kids what right looks like and how to be safe and be smart and stuff like that, and arming them with guns just it's teaching them violence. It's also raising the chances of having some sort of terrible accident happen.
I believe that when it comes to schools, if we had more armed guards, retired military veterans, people like that working at the schools, then that would also deter that.
I feel like armed teachers would do more to protect students than just a sign that says gun-free zone.
Yeah, another thing we can do is try and help public schools get metal detectors, They're not, like my public school that I went to was not a rich school or anything. We didn't have too big of a budget, but we could afford metal detectors, and like once or twice a month, random days, that we would have the metal detectors like mandatory as you're walking into school. We would also have a mesh backpack policy where your backpack had to be clear or mesh. So I'm pretty sure that would be a decent deterrent for school shootings, plus the armed guard thing that I mentioned earlier.
So I don't think any gun is more dangerous than the other. I think they're all dangerous across the board. They all pose the same risk. Some of them just can cause more harm in a specific instance.
You know, bump stocks kind of make a semi-automatic rifle an assault weapon, and so it's a pretty reasonable policy to ban bump stocks.
We had one mass shooting ever that the bad guy used a bump stock, and that mass shooting was the Vegas shooting. That was also the only situation where a bump stock helped him kill more people, which is bad. That's sad. But a bump stock in any other of these mass shooting situations would not have helped, because you have to shoot slower than the bump stock. Like, the bump stock makes you shoot so fast that you can't aim. It's just for sporting purposes, for shooting for fun at home. So there's really no use for it at all otherwise. It sounds like I'm arguing against it, but what I'm saying is it won't help mass shootings by banning it, because every single mass shooting besides one has been done without a bump stock. I don't think any single gun or gun accessory should be banned.
I think there is a huge balance between safety and personal freedom. However, it's a fine line, and there has to be some sort of regulation on both sides, and someone needs to take a step out and overall look at what are we giving up in terms of freedom and safety if we're going to give them some sort of something that can cause harm.
Do you see any possible solutions that could be created by law enforcement to stop or curtail public shootings?
I think that it's on all of us to make sure that ensure that happens. Just like, you know, you asked the question specifically about mass shootings, but it's anything, right? It's all crime in general. Having situational awareness, making good decisions for yourself, and if you see something wrong, you gotta tell somebody so they can get handled or addressed. And it has to be. We all play a part in our own safety and the safety of others. And it can't just be one person or one group only doing that. It takes everybody.
I think if in a lot of the situations, not everyone, but in a lot of them, they're in a public place, like the ones at nightclubs or bars or churches, where if there were more good people in that crowd that had concealed carry permits, they could have taken the assailant down like much quicker than the police took to get there. And I think guns actually defend and protect society in the best way, like against tyrannical government, against bad people. They can be used in self-defense situations. So I don't think guns themselves pose a threat to society. I think bad people do. I think the more people who have guns, the safer the society against like foreign enemies, against domestic enemies, and against government, if the government was ever evil.
I do think there's a couple possible solutions. I think first and foremost, assault rifles need to not be banned in general where no one can ever shoot them again, but instead of having free reign where anyone can have them, have access to them, they're put in a firing range, and if someone wants to go for the sport of shooting, they can go, feel free, shoot whenever they want. I understand handguns for protection in your household. I do believe that there's a inherent risk that comes with owning any firearm, and that anyone that wants to buy a firearm needs to go through an entire process similar to some clinics when they give when some people want abortions, where they have to go through a protest, understand the consequences of it. So going through the entire life cycle of owning a gun, understanding the real risk that comes with owning a gun, the violence that comes with it, the true harm of a firearm. I think the public, if they want to really make a difference, their main way of doing it would be to go and talk to their congressmen, talk to their senators, and spark change. Go fight for reform, fight for some sort of change, and don't just accept the status quo.